All right, paragraph 5A of the 1 to 4 family contract. This is on the delivery of earnest money and the option fee to the title company. Now, notice it says within 3 days after the effective date. The effective date is when the parties agree to terms and have signed all and initialed all contracts. That's the effective date. The buyer must deliver to the title company. I want to point out here the title company in this case is Old Republic Title. The title company is not an individual person. We don't deliver earnest money to individual people. We turn money into the escrow agent, which is the title company, Old Republic or Frontier or Stewart or Chicago, First American. Those are the title companies. If you want to name a specific escrow person, then you just put their name in parentheses. Then you're going to put the address of the title company, okay? And then how much earnest money is going to be delivered. If it's a $300,000 house, it might be $3,000 as earnest money or whatever is negotiated between the parties. And then you're going to put here the option money. If it's a 10-day option period, maybe it's $10 a day, $100, could be $20 a day, $200, whatever's negotiated. But this money is going to be delivered. So the earnest money and option fee shall be made payable to the escrow agent, which is Old Republic Title in this case. Okay, and may be paid separately or combined in a single payment. Typically, what people will do, if it's $3,000 of earnest money and $100 of option money, people will do a one check for $3,100. Now, keep in mind that check should be in certified funds. So that's going to be a cashier's check. Check with the title company and see what their policy is on receiving earnest money. Most of them want a cashier's check, not a personal check. If you deliver a personal check to the title company and they're going to cash it, they're going to put it in their account, they're going to hold on to it. If that contract terminates in 3 days, the buyer won't get their earnest money back until it clears the bank. That can take up to 10 days sometimes. So if you do a cashier's check, it's going to move much quicker. So cashier's check or wires. Get with the title company to see how they want to receive those monies. Okay. And again, it's done in a single payment. In this case, would be $3,100. Now, paragraph 5A1 here is the buyer shall deliver additional earnest money of whatever's negotiated to escrow agent within a certain number of days after the effective date of this contract. We rarely see that, but when we will see that is if this is a contract for a backup contract. So we don't want to put up $3,000 on this property and have it sit there if we're a backup contract because the other contract might not fall through and I don't want $3,000 to be up. So if we're going to do a backup contract, I might put $500 there with an additional $2,500 to escrow agent within a certain number of days after the effective date of this contract. So within 3 days after the effective date. So when this contract becomes the contract, then I would have 3 days to get the additional monies there. Questions about that, come see me or your supervisor, okay? Now, how soon does the money have to be there? It says within 3 days, right? So once this contract is executed, once we have the effective date, they have 3 days to get the earnest money and option money over to the escrow agent. Now, there are some caveats to that, which is this paragraph right here. If the last day to deliver the earnest money, option fee, or additional earnest money falls on a Saturday, Sunday, or legal holiday, the time to deliver the earnest money, option fee, or additional earnest money as applicable is extended until the end of the next day. That is not a Saturday, Sunday, or legal holiday. So what that means, if this earnest money is due on a Saturday, well, title companies aren't open, so I won't turn it in by Saturday. I would turn it in by the following Monday. If it was due on Sunday, it would be the following Monday. If Monday is a holiday, then it would be due by Tuesday. Now, let's look and see what counts as a day. So if our contract was here on Monday the 8th, that means Monday the 8th, day of execution would be day 0. So it would be due within, again, 3 days. So if Monday, the day we executed, is day 0, then it would be due 1, 2, 3 days. The earnest money would be due on the 11th in that example. Okay. Now let's say we execute on the 11th, right? 11th would be day 0. 1, 2, 3 would be 14th is the Sunday. Title company's not open, so that would make it due the following Monday. If Monday was a holiday, it would be due the following Tuesday. Okay. So please keep that in mind. It's due within 3 days. with the execution date being day 0. That's the easiest way to remember. Okay. Now look at paragraph 3. This is also important. Okay. The amounts escrow agent receives under this paragraph shall be applied first to the option fee and then to the earnest money and then to the additional earnest money. What that means is if we have $3,100 that is due, right? If I'm looking up here, and I only write a check for $3,000 for the earnest money, but I don't write a check for the option money, the contract says I'm supposed to turn in $3,100. So what the title company is going to do is they're going to apply the first portion of that to the option fee. So if I wrote a check for $3,000, it should have been $3,100. 100 of it's going to go to the option fee, and 2,900 would then go to the earnest money, which means I have not delivered the earnest money. So please make sure your people understand both the earnest and the option money are due within 3 days. Okay, and when they receive it, they're always going to apply it to the option fee first, not the earnest money. Okay, and here's the other thing to point out is that the buyer does authorize the escrow agent to release the option money to the seller at any time without notice to the buyer. Why? That option money, once it's written, once it's delivered, right? Once the contract is executed, that $100 is due to the seller. And let me say that again. Once this contract is executed, $100 in this case, or $200 if that's the case, whatever the option fee is now due to the seller. Which means that if we never deliver earnest or option money, then the buyer is in breach of contract because we have to deliver that $100 to the seller. Once we execute, those monies are due. And if we do not send the $100, then we do not have an option fee, and now the buyer would be in breach of contract. Okay. I point this out because sometimes buyers write a contract, we execute it, and then we're waiting for option money and earnest money, and then the buyer changes their mind and doesn't want to move forward. If they change their mind and don't want to move forward, the $100 option money is still due and payable to the seller at that time, even if you don't deliver the contract. Once the parties agree, once all parties sign the contract, it is now a binding contract, and these monies are due. They have to deliver that option fee in order to terminate if they have an option fee to terminate. If they don't deliver the option fee, they don't have the option to terminate, they're now in breach of contract. So make sure your buyers understand that. Okay. Now, the other thing is the option fee will be credited to the sales price at closing. And all that means is that $100, if the buyer closes, will be credited to them at closing. If they don't close, that $100 stays with the seller. Okay, make sure they understand that.